in collaboration with the Cyprus Mail. This is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Haralambous.
On this week's programme, we quiz one of the presidential candidates about the policies he plans to follow if elected.
For me, fiscal discipline and to have the right figures in the economy is a must. It's a must because this is the basis for all policy you want to follow.
And we talk to a political analyst who looks ahead to Sunday's election and the impression that the candidates are making.
There are concepts and notions that were not clear enough as to what the meaning was. So this is what it is for me.
We've been talking about the presidential elections for the last several months, and of course Sunday sees the runoff. Joining us this week is one of the contenders for the position of President of Cyprus, Andreas Mavroyiannis. Andreas, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me. Can I ask you first of all how you feel after the first round?
First, let me thank you for this invitation and thank all the people that are listening to us. Yes, I feel that for me it went very well. It was not unexpected for me, if you wish, but it was unexpected for many people. So we have every reason to be satisfied.
And obviously a busy time now talking to other parties and the independents who did garner quite a few of those votes in the first round. I'm always a little bit surprised that voters in Cyprus seem to accept that other people should be able to tell them how to vote, but that seems to have changed a little bit this time round.
Yes, indeed. As you were saying, we're talking to a lot of people, and some other, former candidates that didn't make it to the second round, and we believe that we have, with most of them, many things that bring us together. We have a lot of convergences on the Cyprus issue, and we have convergences on the economy, on education. So, if you like, these people now they are taking a stance for the second round, and we have several that have decided to support our candidacy, which again is moving for me, really.
The big thing, of course, is the split in DC, who have now said that people should vote according to their conscience, as they put it.
Yes.
But you do have some quite widespread support among certainly the top brass in DC. What about the grassroots? Have you been able to gauge how they feel?
To some extent. I don't want to interfere at all in the internal politics of the party. It's, again, I'm very moved that many high officials from the party have spoken in favor of my candidature. Some of them are now expressing their support. We have a lot of business people that were supporters of Father of Neophyte in the first round, that now they believe that at least, and for me, I'm very happy to be the second best for them. But they were trying to talk also to many people. With full respect to the autonomy of their decision-making and their feelings, etc. But there again, the good thing is that we have a lot of convergences concerning the Cyprus problem. We have a lot of convergences concerning Europe. We are pro-European. Both myself and they are pro-European, and then we have, convergences concerning the idea of having a strong economy, fiscal discipline, these kind of things that bring us together, and how are we have, business that are thriving and what conditions we should create in the country. We have a lot of things in common at the end of the day.
I have to put this to you. You and I have always been very frank when we've spoken in the past. You mentioned fiscal discipline, and of course, when the leader of AKEL, Mr. Christofias, was president, our finances went through the floor. And a lot of people are very worried that because you're backed by AKEL, the same thing could happen again. What would you say to them?
I say to them that for me, fiscal discipline and to have the right figures in the economy is a must. It's a must because this is the basis for all policies you want to follow. And you remember, we were talking at the time, I am 100% European. I am the man that, as deputy minister at the time, negotiated for the European Union, the multi-annual financial framework, almost 3 trillion euros. I was in the UN more recently, and I presided over the budget of the United Nations and the competent commission of the General Assembly. I mean, I'm known for being very, very serious about this kind of things, and there is no way that we are going to put in doubt the basics of a healthy country, a healthy economy, and the role of all this in the country. And of course, we need also to have in mind that we have the green transition right now, and we need to take into account that we need to adapt, to adjust, to have necessary structural reforms in order to cope with the new system in Cyprus, in Europe, and around the world.
All right, but the money's got to come from somewhere. So do you have a plan as to where you'll find it?
Of course, so we have a fund and we have a plan, and of course, at the same time, we are going to increase growth in the country, and with growth, the revenue of the state will increase. And of course, we don't intend, if you like, to have heavy taxation on individuals, and we are going to find ways to spend less money where it's not necessary and spend more money where it's necessary.
That's very interesting that you say that, because one of the candidates in the first round was talking about the amount of taxpayer money that is wasted, particularly in public service. Have you got plans to do something about the levels of productivity as well? Absolutely, yes, of course. There is a lot of waste in the public sector, and not only. And of course, for us, productivity is very important, as is digital transformation, as is, many other sectors where we want to change the country. But the idea is to have rationalization of everything, of all revenue and of all expenses. All right, I know you're short of time, and thank you very much indeed for taking the time to join me, and good luck on Sunday, Andreas.
Thank you very much, Rosie. Looking forward to seeing you again soon. All the best.
Keep up to date with events in Cyprus and around the world with the Cyprus News Digest.
And staying with the elections, we're joined again on the programme by political analyst Christoforos Christoforou. I spoke to him yesterday and asked him what he made of the first round. Christoforos, were you surprised by the outcome?
Okay, what I can say about surprises is the difference between the candidates. With regard to the order of the candidates, I was already to see this scenario, and I predicted somehow that Mavroyanes could make it over a veil of 3 weeks ago. We see that the phenomenon that links to Mavroyanes making to the second round is a similar phenomenon that we saw in 2018, where Stavros Malas managed to get 26,000 more than what AKEL got only 20 months before, and made it to the second round. Here, Mavroyanis had a bigger success because He had almost 40,000 more than AKEL 20 months ago, and at a period of time where AKEL appears weak and not convincing. With regard to Christodoulidis, it was a scenario that we could expect to happen, especially those who can read in detail and in-depth opinion polls. The qualitative characteristics of the voters who said that I will vote for this or that guy could enable us to see that it was possible for Christodoulidis to lose ground, not only for this, but also for the fact that AKEL and DC party machines, even though they are weakened over the years, they still have the ability to influence the vote. And that's what happened. They managed to get votes for their candidates and limit the distance from Christodoulidis.
Now then, Christodoulidis has dropped a fair amount of support over the last several weeks, hasn't he? I mean, a few weeks ago they were saying he was going to get top 30s, maybe even 40%. He was nowhere near that. Do you think that is a reflection of how he's come across in some of the final debates on television?
We cannot deny that debates had a certain influence on voting intentions, but I think that there are more practical things like what I said before about the ability of party machines to move and approach voters and influence their intentions of vote. It's true, what you say is true also, that not only during debates, but generally in all his public interventions, Christodoulidis presented very blurred views on issues, etc., and he was never clear. And on the other hand, there are those who believe that even on issues that he makes his views clear, is not a sincere position. I refer, for example, to the Cyprus problem. His positions are he says about bizonal, bicommunal federation, but when he says that, he's closer to Vigo, who says, federation, but with the right content or the proper content, etc.
Yes, he is backed, is he not, by rejectionist parties, so it's very difficult to take him at face value, and I think in a couple of those debates he was also caught out very clearly to be lying.
Yes. There was also this aspect that he was denying positions that he took or what he said in previous interviews or debates, etc. So, this is a factor that added up to what I said before, that on issues that he says clearly what his positions are, he's not that much believed or given credit or trusted.
Do we dare say that he's learnt well from his mentor, our current outgoing president, who says different things according to who the audience is?
Yes, I'm not sure that the main reason is that he says different things, etc. But I think the wording of is that he uses a vocabulary and expressions, etc., that are never clear. I can't see that he adjusts his responses, his replies, or his answers to questions. For me, it's a more complicated function to do this. So I just see that he's projecting blurred views or not clear. For example, I read an article, which is a written article, was in Philadelphians many weeks ago, about forming a government of national unity. It was maybe 800 words, sincerely, I haven't clearly understood what he meant, and argumentation, etc. There are concepts and notions that were not clear enough as to what the meaning was. So this is Christodoulidis for me.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of us are also wondering how on earth he can have national unity when his backers come from so many different areas of politics, except for the one that doesn't seem to want to communicate at all as regards the Cyprus problem. Let's come to Mavroyanes, because...
If you allow 2 words
Sure.
about what you just said, national unity, etc. How can you talk about this when 2 of those who support you, Democratic Party and Democratic Front, have split between them years ago, etc. So if you really mean national unity, convince them to join forces and become a one party again.
Yeah, and actually before we go on to Mavroyanis, there is of course the question of what the DC voters now do, because Averos Neophytou came out, I believe, and said that it will be a vote of conscience. He's not going to say you should vote this or that. And quite a few people, I believe, at the central meeting that they had of their committee did say, we want people to vote for Mavroyanis. And they quoted Glafkos Kleridis, and the historic founder of that party has in the past linked up with the left if he thought it was best for Cyprus. So it does seem that DC is split pretty well down the middle between those who will vote for the one and those who will vote for the other, and that could be very telling, couldn't it?
Okay, the decision that was announced from this is a tactical move that is attempting to minimize the damages for the party. And what we know up to now is the positions, as you said, already said, the positions of the officials that made up this political bureau. We don't know if the same trends exist at the grassroots level. And also another aspect is that the big majority, seems that the big majority during this meeting were for what we call a vote of conscience. But we don't know what is behind their minds, that if they will stick to it and leave people free to decide and go to the ballot and vote, or if, even though they say this, which is projecting a certain picture of the party, that we respect you, so you are free to vote. Despite that, some of them are involved in the campaign in support of one or of the other candidate. We are not there, and this makes the result of this Sunday quite unpredictable.
Could it be the end of DC as we know it? Because it has caused huge ructions within that party, hasn't it?
No, I don't think so. I think that what happens with DC, what happens also with AKEL, what happens also with Vigo, etc., and has already happened in the past 20 years, since 2004, etc., the most visible effect is that these parties are weakened. But they have strong foundations, and they have also the possibility to work with their grassroots, etc., and keep their influence in society. So I think that the split that this if suffered in 2004 was much more serious, severe than what is now. Okay, things will depend also what will be the outcome in their Congress in March.
Right, now let's move on
we have to wait and see. And also, this will depend also on the result of the election.
Of course. So let's come to Mavroyanis, the backing of AKEL, and I know a lot of people in AKEL were unhappy that he was picked by their central committee. But having said that, he's come out during recent debates as trying to emphasise that he is his own man, and all of those people who remember the handling of the economy when Christofias was in power, the last AKEL president, can they make themselves believe that he will manage things his way and AKEL is just backing him? Because that's what Stefanou's been saying, isn't it? That we are not in government, we're just saying we're backing this candidate.
Okay, there are various approaches to this. I don't think that many are convinced that Mavroyanes is fully independent from AKEL. We haven't seen Mavroyanes supported by independent personalities and people who could be his ministers, etc., etc. So he is fully independent economically also for his campaign to AKEL. But given the constitution of Cyprus, everything will depend on his will and how he will decide to run his government. We saw it with Vasiliou. Okay, Vasiliou was another case. He was also already an established businessman, manager, etc., etc. But having said this, even though people do not believe that Mavroyanes is independent, they see Mavroyanes as the only way out of the 10 years of Anastasiadis' government and all the bad things that have happened, corruption, the justice that is not working, and many other things, and the stalemate in the Cyprus problem. So people will go beyond this. We don't know how many, but important parts of the electorate, and will vote for Mavroyanes. Okay, the issue of the economy, we saw that they are trying to minimize the effect that the Christofias government made in the minds of people that, this is a destructive experience, we should not repeat it. But on the other hand, they have Christodoulidis and all this amalgam of supporters that is not a secure perspective for anyone.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are also thinking, because there is no doubt that the outgoing president has become very unpopular for all the corrupt things that have come to light, is that if Christodoulidis gets in, then there won't be any change to try and figure out exactly who's been doing what and punish those who have been taking advantage of their positions.
Okay, I don't think there are many expecting this to happen, and one should also link Christodoulidis and what is expected to happen with his supporters. His supporters are known for many years and years of populist approaches to many things. One should not forget this. And also that even recently they are threatening various institutions. For example, they see that from the part of Sisopoulos or from the part of some deputies of Vigo, there are threats against against the national health system. They are threats against other things, and they are also those who, except EDEC, Vigo and VIPA deputies have consistently voted against social rights. The law to decriminalize homosexuality, the abortion law, the law for the civic partnership, etc. All these critical laws for social rights have been rejected by Vigo and those deputies that make VIPA. So many people see severe and very serious threats against the rights from those. And also, the Democratic Party and VIPA and EDEC, they have a rhetoric, a racist rhetoric with regard to migration, and also they are not positive, not only with undocumented migrants, but also they adopt positions which are against, which is the same thing with the government, positions that are damaging the rights of foreign labor that live and work in Cyprus. And we should not forget that the whole economy, agriculture and animal husbandry and home assistance, etc., they are all by foreign labor, and without them, how the economy will function?
Well, it wouldn't. I think that's very clear.
We forgot also to mention tourism industry. How tourism industry will work and how they will receive the millions that they are planning to receive in Cyprus, to welcome Cyprus.
One last question, Christoforos. Can I ask you, I know it's not usually done, but do you think it would help either of the candidates if they gave some indication before Sunday as to who some of their main ministers might be going to be?
Such an announcement may influence some people, but it's something that is not difficult but impossible to estimate the number of people and the impact of such a decision. And also this might be a commitment that is not easy to make.
Well, one wouldn't expect them to say, I'm going to make so-and-so my finance minister or my justice minister or whatever, without having first spoken to the person in question to see if they'd accept, obviously. But do you think that people are a little bit worried as to who is going to be running all these government departments?
Yes, sure, they are. But the critical point is, okay, you said that, let's say, Christoforos of Rosi will be my minister for this or that. But if Christoforos and Rosi have not any work to show, any previous work to show, and maybe not even their views on many critical issues with regard to their portfolio, how people are going to be influenced. And we know that in today's society there are too few people that enjoy trust and confidence by the wider public. That it's difficult to find persons that the public says, oh yes, this is an honest people, this is a person that knows his subject, that he has also proved that he will work for the good, for the public good and for every citizen. So this is also, where do you find this kind of people?
Well, there are a lot of them in Cyprus. Let's be honest, there are a lot of very highly qualified people. And I'm just thinking that most voters, probably after the last 10 years, are thinking they would like to see some new faces of experts in their fields heading up these ministries and demanding the right sort of productivity from their underlings. Because if it's more of the same faces just from a different political party, then we're just going to carry on as we are, aren't we?
Yeah, this is the issue, and we know that people, serious people, who are serious professionals, etc., they have consistently in the past decades to get involved in politics. So, okay, it's a challenge for the candidates to find this and also to convince that this is an asset for their candidacy.
Do you think more people will turn out to vote this coming Sunday than did last, or will it have the opposite effect and people just will stay away?
It's hard to say. There are factors who can make abstention rate higher, can influence the abstention rate, like the fact that maybe part of those who voted for Averov will abstain. But there are also other factors. Say, for example, if we stick only to Averov voters, that many of them will be ready to go to the ballots and vote against Christodoulidis, who is someone that is considered as a traitor of the party, not just a dissident. And also there are those who believe that, okay, the country should get out of this state of corruption and all other bad things that throw the blame in the face of people and of the island. And so they might be more motivated to go to vote. But, okay, I'm not expecting dramatic changes. We saw it also in 2018. Okay, there it was right and left, this and again. In the second round, there was a slip of, if I remember well, 2% from the first round. I'm expecting that the abstention rate will not dramatically change, and we could say that the abstention rate will be similar to the first round, minus plus 2 points. But okay, as I usually say after each election, and before also, in each election there are new things we learn, and we might learn a new thing in these elections with much higher or much lower abstention.
But anyway, it will probably be fairly similar to the, 67-68% turnout that we had last Sunday. Christoforos,
Yes.
always a pleasure talking to you. Any idea when the first results start coming through? They were very quick last Sunday.
I remember very well. At 7:05, I posted a tweet. It was already at 20% counting of votes, and they said, this is the trend, this is the final result. So we should expect that by 7 o'clock we will know who is voting, unless this is so close to call that we should wait until 7:15 and at the latest 7:30.
Christoforos Christoforou, political analyst, will watch what happens on Sunday. Many thanks for your expertise. Well, that about wraps up this edition of the Cyprus News Digest. Many thanks for your company. Hope you'll join me next week. Till we meet again, take care and God bless. Bye-bye now.